Howdy, 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 everybody, and welcome to the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. It's the start of Season 16 here at Sebring International Raceway. I'm Austin Knight. I'm joined by Larry McLeod, with Alex Simpson and Dennis Branch in the production booth. Larry, how are you feeling for this race?
I'm feeling really good. I do love Sebring. I think this place is a great place to race. I think we're going to have a couple of great classes mixing it up at this place. I think we've got, as always here in the Ricmotech series, talented drivers top to bottom. And we're going to start out this season the same way we wound up last season with the talented drivers showing off their skills here. So this is going to be an exciting night.
It certainly is. It's always an exciting race here at Sebring, especially in these GT4s and TCR cars. And it's a new-looking field. Usually last season we saw the field just consist of mainly a Porsche. Mainly Porsches and about 2 BMWs. Well, the field has certainly swindled right now. It's now an even base field of Porsches and BMWs out there on track. It's actually a little bit more BMW focused. Some drivers claiming the safety of the BMW a little bit better and more controllable than that Porsche.
It'd be interesting, to see if that changes things a bit. As you mentioned, the last season, pretty much everybody in the Porsche. This season, kind of mixing it up, and I see some of our big names, like our defending champ Elvis Rankin. He's jumped over to that BMW. We're going to see a few of the others, the main contenders here, doing that as well, but some of the other mainstays sticking it out in the Porsche. Be interesting to see how that plays out in the long format of the race. How does it do for protecting tires? Usually you'd think a good mid-engine car might save those for the end. The bigger BMW might struggle a little bit. We'll see if that plays out that way.
And speaking of some of our drivers, let's look at some of our drivers right now. We got Kevin Ford and Jeff Jacobs on the cams right now. Kevin giving everyone a good rundown of the race strategy right there. Kevin being the lead admin in his Millennium Falcon setup. Gosh, I'm still jealous of that. And then there's Jeff Jacobs, one of the other admins, just sitting right by and making sure he's all ready to go.
A couple of great setups there, and there's a good look there of Bobby Child's setup with his cockpit steering wheel there.
He's watching something on YouTube as well.
Is he watching us?
No, it looks like he's watching is this Star Wars?
Be appropriate. But anyway, So we've got an exciting race to start out the season. I think we said it was season 16 here for the sports car series here at the Ricmotech, and it is going to be exciting here, starting out at Sebring. Beautiful Florida here in January is always a great place to start out. And what a great layout of a track. This place is always a fun place to race. These types of cars mix it up well. I think it's a great place for mixed class racing, as of course with the 12 Hours of Sebring being the pinnacle of mixed class racing. And I think it's a great time to segue into talking about the track. Why don't we go ahead and show our track guide here about Sebring International?
Welcome, everyone, to Sebring International Raceway. Great to have you with us as we provide you your track guide around this iconic road course that dates all the way back to 1950. There is certainly something special about the course here with its bumpy variety of track surfaces and technical corners. This place is a challenge for any driver on any given day. Well, let's get up through the gears and head down the front straightaway here as we notice our pit entry to the right, coming right out of Sunset Bend back there. Crossing the stripe, we'll be picking up a lot of speed as we head down into turn one here. Drivers will be approaching this corner here at about 120 mile an hour. Get down through the gears, looking for that apex, very difficult to see. Right back to throttle and set up for the first heavy brake zone here down into turn three. Very tight left-hander. This will take us through 4 and 5. Very narrow section here, probably one of the narrowest points on the lap. Up out of 5, this will get us rolling up through Big Bend here, turn 6, a right-hand sweeper. This will bring us onto another short chute here where we can pick up some speed. You'll see some overtaking opportunities coming down here into this very tight hairpin as well. Down through the gears, going to get that early rotation, come back to throttle, nice and easy there. Very tricky exit on that corner. Doesn't appear so, but that back end will dance. Here we go up through 8 and 9. This will lead us into Cunningham, which is another heavy brake zone and a tight right-hander. There will be some overtaking opportunities in that brake zone as well. All right, we're on our way to Tower now. Another very difficult corner here. We'll swing out wide here to get that late apex, to get that right front tire right down by that curb so we can get a good straight launch up onto a very fast section here. Tough to do overtaking in this area here. You really got to get that car to rotate through these double lefts and down into the section known as Le Mans. Turns 14 and 15. Ultimately up into Le Mans here of turn 16. Another tough corner to get right. Really have to be careful and take that edge all the way to the outside there, coming onto Almond Straight. Obviously the fastest straight here on the course, and certainly the longest as we head down into the most famous turn here at Sebring, Sunset Bend. Very bumpy, very undulating, and a very difficult corner to get back to throttle. As you can see that car getting tossed about as we come out way wide on the track out to get that speed back across the finish line. And there you go. There's your track guide for Sebring International Raceway. Thank you for being with us.
So we welcome you back live here to Sebring as qualifying has gotten underway here for the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. After a good track guide, let's take a look around the track, see who we got going on. And, hey, it's a new BMW in the field and a new car for DTD Racing. Usually we see the DTD guys usually nose to tail of each other in the TCR, but they switched cars, and Bobby has went from the TCR class all the way up to the GT4 class, originally to boost the numbers of the BMW. And then, his quote, after he said he was doing that, everyone switched over there to still make him look slow.
That must be the reason. They're just following the trend. But no, the BMW...
Never make Bobby look fast.
No, the BMW, I think, with the balance of performance, changing things a little bit as iRacing tends to do season by season, may have given a little bit more of at least a hint, maybe not a full advantage yet to the BMW, but certainly enough enticement to let a few others want to go jump into there. So who knows? Maybe Bobby will have himself a shot here to mix it up with the big boys. As we know, as we've talked about, our defending champ there, Elvis Rankin, has got himself a BMW as well tonight, as has one of his close runners there. I think we've got Mike Dams in a BMW tonight. Looking down the list, Robert Hartley will be in a BMW. Then we've got a good shot of Elvis Rankin in his HPP BMW.
Yeah, the entire Orion race team switched over to the BMW. Their quote is, it's a much more stable car. The Porsche was a bit of a handle to drive. And the reason why they stayed with Porsche is because everyone had the Porsche. Nobody wanted to buy the BMW again for this series. And they already knew all the tricks and secrets with the Porsche that they didn't want to relearn a car in the middle of the season in season 15. So when season 16 started, they got the BMW. They were already messing with it. And there's a lot more knowledge out there about this newer GT4 car.
Yeah, and there's something to it. And of course, being as part of a team, they get to share a lot of that knowledge as well. So when they do all buy in together, you get that beautiful knowledge sharing that teams bring you. As individuals, you're kind of on your own trying to go, well, I'll try it, and you try your own setup and things. But with this Orion team, to do it all as one big switch makes a lot of sense as well, and be able to use some data that's out there to really take full advantage of that experience. So really expect to see some good times there with that BMW. And of course, with success comes a lot of followers. Even if it may or may not be the fastest car, if the fast teams are doing it, everyone else will probably also follow.
Yes, and with the comment about the BMW, it is a little bit faster in a straight line compared to the Porsche, and that could bring a little bit of a performance boost here at Sebring with those massive long back straight and these corners as we're getting our first times in. And it's a BMW 1-2 with Elvis Rankin and Mike Dam taking that top spot, followed by a Porsche of Chris Norman. The Bobby Childs, he jumps up in there. They're trying to make him look slow, but he's certainly got some pace as he jumped into fourth and got taken over by a Porsche, and he gets dropped down to fifth. As I would really love to see the Porsche badges versus BMW badges. This might turn into a constructor series very soon. And I would kind of like to see, speaking of that, I would kind of like to see how they perform throughout the season when we visit throughout all the tracks this year.
Yeah, I think there may be some of that as well, that certain tracks may be a little bit better for that mid-engine Porsche, where maybe a track like this where you've got a lot of long straightaways, the BMW could have an advantage. So it'd be interesting to see which one plays out one place or another, or if at the end of the day, talented driver always wins. So we might just see some of the talent come through, but in the middle of the pack especially, you might see a certain chassis have an advantage over another one.
I certainly think a track like Barber Motorsports Park would really benefit that Porsche.
Yeah, very, very possible. Don't forget that we do in fact have two classes running tonight. We've got our TCRs running tonight here with our everyone running in the Audis. We've got a group of them right now. First time in right now, it's Eric Violette with the quickest. They're all going to be very close as always. Eric's first time was a 2:15.3.
Yeah, Eric Violette. We saw a lot of action for him and the DTD boys last season, as we're looking at Andrew List, the other DTD driver. The TCR class is not a multi-class thing with the TCRs yet, but I know in the real life there are so many different TCR cars, and touring car racing is just so good, and I really want to see that Hyundai get in here. Let's take a look at.
It's a great class in in full-on road racing. Very, very much very competitive across about 4 or 5, maybe 6 different chassis manufacturers that are into it. It's great, and like you said, I'm kind of waiting for iRacing to have a few more cars enter the fray. It'd be great to see them in it.
Yeah, as we take a look at a few of our drivers, you can see the POV of Bobby Childs, who has a very unique head camera setup. I believe he's connected his webcam to his headset, and it's looking like a character from Cyberpunk right now.
Oh, that is very cool.
But that effect is so good, I must say. It's like actually riding in the car with the driver whenever they get the POV cameras. Either I know IndyCar experimented with the onboard cameras on the helmet, and I don't know about NASCAR if they did that for a bit, but it just looks right on a road course because you get to see where he's looking at.
Sure. Yeah, you get to see kind of how they peek around some of these tighter corners, especially here at a track where they've got like the hairpin sections or some of the tight corners. They can kind of peek around the walls. It's great to watch the driver actually physically doing that as they rotate their eyes, rotate their whole head. Very, very cool.
Rotate the head and body, and I think you'll actually get a little bit of a workout on your neck if you go at that for a while.
Yeah, it's a very cool thing. I know from doing my own kind of racing, I do in my on my helmet cam, I actually will wear a camera on my helmet. One of the reasons I do that is I wear it on my helmet not to put on the vehicle so that I can actually see which way is my head turning, so I know whether or not I'm truly looking ahead around the corner and not just using my eyes and trying to use peripheral, but actually looking ahead. It's a great tool to try and learn from, and being able to do it, watch it here, actually on board there with Bobby Childs, kind of be able to see, is he doing the same thing? Is he turning his head to look out one of his side screens? It's really kind of cool to see he's doing the same thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, when I used to race at single-seaters, the use of GoPros and weren't really implemented at the as a normal thing back then. So it's just like, oh, you got some people with a camera.
You mean they didn't let you put like a Super 8 camera on your head? Or you're not that
Nah. I had a camcorder. My dad used to carry this massive brick of a camcorder around. He still carries it around today. And I got him a new one for Christmas. He still won't use it.
All right, we've got about 3 laps in for most drivers. At the top of the leaderboard there, you can see Elvis Rankin putting in a very quick 2:10.52. That's a little quicker, actually, than he had even done in practice. He did a 2:10.55 in practice, so he's even under that now. With Mike Dam currently on the outside of the front row, Tony Kernan in a Porsche. Actually, right now on the second row, a couple of Porsches there in the second row with he and Chris Thorman. So not a complete runaway here with BMW. So very good parity there. The first 2 are BMWs, the next 2 Porsches.
Yeah, this constructor spread is very even. 2 BMWs, 3 Porsches, 3 BMWs, 2 Porsches, 2 BMWs, 1 Porsche, 2 BMWs.
Yeah.
It's like an actual math problem. Which sequence comes next?
I'm not going to ask you to do math. Don't worry. There will not be a quiz.
No. I just remember that math problem just haunts me. But it's I'm just getting PTSD right now just thinking about it.
It's down in the TCR group, though. It is extremely tight. Eric Violette still sitting on that group's pole position at a 14.79, just 21 thousandths ahead of Andrew List, 15 flat, just ahead of 19 thousandths ahead of Brandon Whitworth, 15.19. Those 3 drivers are separated by 40 thousandths of a second right now, each on their last lap.
Well, they're going to be all the way pushing the pedal to the metal right now to try to get that position as we ride on board with Elvis Rankin, who is very late pit entry, and well, you can see on how fast he could go into that pit entry. I've been seeing a lot of drivers on their very final lap either take it to the pit entry and do a little pit stop practice before the race, because pit stops, they do matter, especially if you don't really maximize that pit stop entry, as we're looking at one of our newer drivers, Raymond Bader Jr. right now, as he comes across the line, jumps up into 14th ahead of Russ Ruddock.
So we've got just about 2.5 minutes left here of qualifying. Most drivers now are finishing their 4th lap, but a few still didn't get theirs, or maybe it put a tire off on one of the earlier laps.
Andrew List just came across the time. He improved, but just barely missed out on pole to Eric Violette.
So close between those 3, huh? So 40,000 separating 3 drivers there, the top 3 in those Audis. So close.
Looking at our Porsche of Jeff Jacobs, Philly SCCA driver, and massive Gator fan right now. And I know he's probably not watching the college football finals like a lot of people.
I know
right
not
now.
of what you speak of, this football college stuff you speak of.
I think this is a sport where feet are involved.
I know not of what you speak. All I know is my team yells "Go Blue," and there's another team that's involved that I don't like very much. So I'm going to leave it at that. But we are watching Jeff Jacobs, as you mentioned, Philly Regions, Philly SCCA, and Street Survival, an SCCA Foundation guy himself, Jeff Jacobs, one of the admins of this league as well.
Loves running the Mustang.
He does.
But unfortunately, that was a decommissioned last season after
but you know what?
the Classic
Jeff
Sprint
drives
Series.
everything. He drives anything.
This is true.
He'll drive that AMG Mercedes. He'll drive here in the Porsche. He'll drive it all.
Yeah, and he's always loving it. He knows how to drive. He loves driving. Currently sitting 10th place, and this is a very tightly packed field, the GT4 series as well. That mid-pack, like usual in the Ricmotech series, is very contested.
Just like his autocross cars, Jeff will drive anything. I've seen him autocross everything from a Nissan Sentra to a Mini to a Corvette Z06 to, I think the last thing I saw him in was, I think it might have been an FRS running in the Solo Spec Coupes. So Jeff's a pretty versatile driver there in the real world as well as here in the sim world.
Hey, when you drive everything, you get the most knowledge about how different cars handle, and maybe you can carry over some tricks from one car over to the another, and might get some advantage for the amount of experience of cars. I know Michael Schumacher, he went over to DTM racing before he went into Formula racing, which knowing his success kind of has something to do with it.
Kimi Räikkönen tried a little bit of something other than Formula One there on his hiatus for a while, so it definitely helps to try some alternate formats. So anyway, as we get queued up here for a very, very long out lap, for a very, very long warm-up lap, we've got our grid. So do you want to walk them through the grid, the GT4 group?
Yes, I will, and it's a BMW lockout with Elvis Rankin started up on pole, followed by Mike Dam. Then it's the Porsche second row of Tony Kernan and Chris Thorman. Then it's going to be a Porsche and a BMW battling with each other, with David Payton and Bobby Child starting next to each other, with Robert Hartley and Kevin Ford right behind them in 7th and 8th. In 9th and 10th, it's going to be Steve Daniels and Jeff Jacobs, followed by Greg Mack and Jordy Fike in 12th place. Behind them is Randall McGrew and Raymond Bader in 13th and 14th, followed by Russ Ruddock in 15th at the end of the GT4 grid. And at the start of the TCR grid, taking that pole position is going to be Eric Violette, followed by Andrew List right beside him, with Brandon Whitworth, Chris Sabo, and John Allen, with Jason Ashton at the end of the TCR 6-car grid.
Well, this will be interesting to see how these the different power plants between the different where they make speed between the BMWs and the Porsches come into play, and how patient everyone is here in the early goings. Knowing the BMWs might have a little bit of an advantage on the straightaways, but the Porsches might have a little bit of advantage on some of those, the mid-speed corners. They're going to want to try and stay close, but if the BMWs are in front of them, they're going to end up holding that line through those corners and pulling away on the straightaway. It's going to make it really tough to get around them if you're a Porsche driver.
The Porsche is going to have the advantage in the opening part of this lap, being very tight and tricky, and the BMWs are going to be, well, hard to pass, I must say, but the Porsches are going to be very nimble compared to the BMWs, and I just want to see how this goes on throughout this entire season, and, I know Ricmotech has the season standings for the teams, but, Ricmotech, maybe you want to get a constructor standings as well, and, I know it doesn't mean anything. This is more like a nerd stat for me. Because I'm absolutely geeking out about this
alerts.
stuff.
Full-on nerd alert.
I embrace it.
You're going to have it. You got to own it. All right, so we will, as we always do with these multi-class races, they will be split start. It will be the GT4s starting, and the TCRs will hold back, and they will start separately, taking their own green flag. Eric Violette will hold them back, probably down along the Ullman Straight, and hold them through and go green somewhere after Sunset Bend, just before the start-finish stripe, long after the TCRs or long after the GT4s get their green flag.
Yeah, long after, and it's a Florida start for most of the series here. I know the the Classic Sprint Series, they didn't start in the Florida area. They started their year last week in Road Atlanta, which came down to a nail biter. An absolute classic race to start off the year, not only for the Ricmotech Series, but for Season 17 of the Classic Sprint Series. And the iRace, the Ricmotech World Challenge, that will be next week, and they're going to be starting just a few miles away over at Daytona. And if you want to talk about constructors, there's that GT field they got going on. It's going to be very interesting to see how those cars compare up to each other throughout the season. And they're also going to be dealing with some LMP2s as well.
That's going to be epic. Yeah, seeing that new bit of variety thrown into to that series for us this season is going to be pretty darn cool to watch. I'm pretty excited about that one. I know you are as well.
Oh, I'm a massive IMSA fan, and to see an actual series go full on IMSA, but better, is going to be very cool. And I did say but better because these guys know what they're doing with BOP.
How many days away are we from the actual 24?
The actual 24. Don't remind me because I'm extremely lacked on practice right now.
It's coming up in a couple of weeks, so this World Challenge Series here by Ricmotech is well timed to be starting out at Daytona Speedway with that mix of classes very, very close to the real 24. So it's going to be pretty darn cool to see all this going on. So don't miss that one. Our Ricmotech Series starts a week from tonight.
Yeah, I was actually thinking you were asking about when is that race, and I was about to say 7 days from now, but then you said the actual 24, and I'm like, I've lost. I don't want to know.
Yeah.
Lights are out on the pace car. They're going down the back stretch. They're all lined up side by side as the race marshal is giving them the starting speed to Elvis Rankin. Everyone's bunching up. They're letting the pace car go. And, oh, it's time. I feel the butterflies in my stomach. Let's get ready to go sports car racing here in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics as they pass under Sunset Bridge around Sunset Bend. They're coming across the the line. The green flag is in the air, and it's green flag racing here in Florida.
Clean start. Everybody is in line. At least at the front 2/3 of the field.
It's a good start by everybody, keeping it very clean at the front. We see some crazy starts here before, and we already see some midfield battles going side by side. Some BMWs going at it with each other as they're heading side by side into turn 2, which usually ends up very nasty. And speaking of another class, let's take a look at our TCR classes. They go green, green, green.
There aren't many of them, but this is going to be a lot of exciting racing because these cars, as we know, they never get away from each other. So what you see now is pretty much what it's going to look like for the next 59 minutes.
Yeah, Ashton and Allen didn't take the start of this race. I'm not sure why. So it's a 4-car start, and they're already getting a little bit off track, and it's a DTD 123 over in the TCR class. And actually, it's a DTD. Is that another DTD car at the end of? It's a DTD 1234 clean sweep.
It'll be a good little battle.
Actually,
then.
I don't think that's a DTD car. It is not.
All right, well, he's going to have to keep up with the team in front of him.
Dark Horse, and that is Chris Sabo.
All right, well, out in front of the entire field right now is, of course, the little king himself, Elvis Rankin.
And look at this fight. Bobby Childs side by side with 64 of David Payton trying to hold around the outside. Use that Porsche nibble as they get into each other.
That's what we're worried about, those nimble stuff. The Porsche's got the advantage, and the BMWs are slow. And the Porsche trying to get inside of there, try to use some of that advantage in those corners. But unfortunately, a little bit of contact there.
Squeezed.
Looked like just a little bit of a racing incident.
You can see a little bit of the differences between the Porsche. The Porsche, once you get out of line, that thing's going flying. That BMW, it just stayed there. You can see the amount of scratched up in the DTD race paint on the 88 for Bobby Childs. And, well, that I can totally understand why you want to race the BMW just a little bit more. It's a little bit more robust.
Yeah, it's just your classic, it's just kind of point and shoot kind of car. It's not gonna wow you through the corners or anything. Whereas the Porsche is going to be a little bit twitchy. It's going to kind of move around a little bit. And maybe that's what the Orion team was talking about. One of the reasons why they made the switch to the BMW is it just becomes that predictable. But it does things like you see here there for the 32 there for Ford. It's a little tough under the brakes to kind of get it turned in a little bit. But once it goes, it's kind of point and shoot.
Yeah, and right behind it, you can see the Porsche just closing in as that incident with Bobby Childs and David Payton is under review right now. So we're taking a look at through our midfield now. We're looking at Randall McGrew, the Genesis Sim Sport 67, as he's right behind Jordy Feig.
Yeah, and you can see him just close right up, and he's just so much quicker on the brakes and through the corner with that car, but then just kind of loses it down the next straightaway, and he's going to try and stay with the draft and come up to these twisty bits. But it's just going to be tough to get by. He's going to run into the same problem, get all the way up to the S's, and have just nowhere to go.
Yeah, and the Le Mans S's, as we saw that incident take place, it was a very Porsche-heavy section of track, and when I saw David Payton enter there, I'm like, he definitely can make it, but it was a little bit of an aggressive defense by Bobby. There was a little bit of a squeeze happening right there. I do believe that might just be ruled a racing incident because
it could be.
I can't really tell if any driver was really at fault for that. They were side by side through there, and that's one of those cases where one driver can do one thing to avoid that, the other one can do another thing to avoid that, and they both partaked in that incident in equal ways.
Well, Greg Mack under some serious pressure right now, or putting pressure on Jeff Jacobs here on the straightaway. He's trying to use the power there of that BMW to try to get around the more nimble Porsche, but can't quite get him to the corners. He's going to have to get a run down here on the front straightaway to try and get him through turn 1 before they get down into the turn 3 left-hander. As you can see how much easier it was for Jeff in that white Porsche to make that sunset bend. Just a lot more of a handful of the BMW to make that corner, but straightaway speed, here he is up on his heels again going into turn 3 up here, this left-hander.
Yeah, right on the heels, and then watch that gap climb back up for Greg Mack, trying to chase down, entering at about 0.4 of a second. And like I said, the race control has reviewed that, and no action, inconclusive evidence. And as they entered that opening sector, 0.8 of a gap to Jeff Jacobs now. So the Porsches definitely have a big advantage in that opening section. And it's a BMW train in 10th and 11th with Jordy Fike right on his heels, and he's got a Porsche on his heels as well, and that's Randall McGrew right behind him.
Yep, and McGrew again doing the same kind of thing where he's kind of struggling in the straightaways, but he gets right back up there. And I think Fike in this group might be the quickest of these four, but he's sandwiched. He's sandwiched because he's got the similar power in front of him, so he can't do anything when he gets to a straightaway. And then he's got the Porsche out up in front. He doesn't want to give up any ground to a Porsche behind him, so he can't really go anywhere. So I do wonder if Jordy just kind of got himself in a bad spot and just needs to maybe have a big mistake made in front of him to be able to get around them. And if he does, he might be able to actually gain a little bit of ground and move away from these guys.
It's a very difficult situation. It's like walking on the sidewalk. You got that couple in front of you. You want to go right, they go right. You want to go left, they go left. They're faster in a little bit. They're faster at taking turns, and you just want to get over and go to Subway on your own. But they're sitting there ordering stuff, and I know I'm going off on a weird tangent, but this makes sense, honestly.
Suddenly I'm hungry. But yeah, so I'm just kind of keep an eye on this battle. It's a pretty good battle here. It's Jeff Jacobs, Greg Mack, Jordy Fike, Randall McGrew. This foursome is just really close, but they're just in line. And you wouldn't think this big, long straightaway, wide surface, airport, racetrack would have any problem making passes. But look how difficult this is.
Yeah,
it's because these guys aren't making big mistakes.
Yeah, these guys are driving perfect races on their own, and I just commentators cursed somebody right there, but, when we got an hour for that to happen, so
hey, you gotta do something to spice it up.
Hey, I love spice, and it's great. But, yeah, these cars, there is some advantage on the straights via the BMW, but it's not a night and day difference. It's just a little bit faster here, they're a little bit faster here, and they just can't get past each other. And here it goes Jordy Fike. As you said, you think he's the fastest one in this group. Well, he's going to try to prove you right here. Around the outside, and Jordy Fike passes his teammate for 10th place.
Yep, and I think his teammate made it a little bit easier for him to make sure he had the good, clean braking zone, because maybe realizing that Jordy could be quicker and to try to keep up with Jeff Jacobs, and maybe Jordy will be able to get around Jeff once he gets back up on his heels here as they get to the end of the lap.
Speaking of teammates, the 1, 2, 3 DTD drivers.
3, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1. I can't tell who's in the lead because these guys are just nose to tail like an Audi train.
Well, the Violet Trim DTD car of Eric Violet is in the lead, followed by Brandon Whitworth and Andrew List are 1, 2, 3. And these three drivers have made a big name for themselves, either providing amazing, great racing or the amount of heartaches for their team manager, Bobby Childs, who is not wanting to partake in any of their shenanigans and jump to the GT4 class.
I'll tell you what, they look like they're having a blast, because again, they have not been half a car length apart the whole time, and they're running consistent laps. These guys are just flying. And I think they started, I believe it was Violet, List, and then Whitworth?
Yes, you are right.
And so Whitworth got around List at some point. I suspect that this is going to continue to flip-flop. But these guys are racing. I mean, why not? This is it. This is the race.
It's their race, and they honestly love it. I was talking with them throughout the season because I was interested in joining the TCR class for this year instead of commentating. And when they said on how much fun and how much easier this car is to pick up, it was like more encouraging me to hop on it. And then I saw their pace and what I was doing, and I was like, I'm just going to sit in the commentary box and watch you guys have all the fun.
Yeah, it's you can look good from up here. Once you get in the car, you have to actually have talent and drive and stay on their pace. And these guys have got some serious pace right now. I mean, they're 2/10
pace,
apart.
and it might look like they're playing on the playground right now whenever they start battling, but oh man, they have some ridiculous pace, and they're proving it by just letting Sabo in the dust behind them.
Yeah, it's crazy. And don't let the team paint schemes fool you. These guys are racing. This is not just, all right, guys, let's play nice.
DTD, does not believe in team orders. As there's a little mistake from Whitworth, and List goes down to the inside, as we were saying that already. Just a small mistake right there, and they're already trying to fight over each other. And Violet's got a little bit of a gap, but the draft of these TCRs is going to suck them right back up.
Classic TCRs. Use a lot of curb, a lot of passing. Make a little mistake, someone's going to stick their nose up inside of you, but you can't get away. The whole race, they're just going to be nose to tail. This is classic TCR racing.
We have an incident in the GT4s. Robert Hartley is falling down. He was off the track for a little bit. And oh wow, that's a lot of damage on that BMW.
That is a lot
of that car's
damage.
Very smashed, and he's got suspension damage, I believe. And he's just letting everyone by and just letting everyone know. As you can see, the new damage model flop around that hood.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. That left front is pretty severe.
Left front, the entire left side. Did he get in? I would suspect he got into somebody with it, but I don't believe he actually hit anyone else, because usually there would be two cars involved in an incident right here.
So we can queue up a replay here.
And there we see him in the background going into the pit lane.
Yeah.
So we look at Greg Mack right now sitting in 10th place. His teammate Jordy Fike pulling a second away from him. So our theory was right. Look at that Porsche, that nimbleness in turn one. Side by side with Randall McGrew. If you're looking at that from one angle, you wouldn't even know Porsche was there. It just fits within the profile of that BMW. And down the inside, Randall McGrew making that work. As we look at our separate screen, and that gets onto the curb and buries it into the wall. And the iRacing damage model thankfully kept all four wheels attached, and for a split second made it look like he was driving a very unbalanced motorcycle.
Oh, yeah, so that's unfortunate for him. But yeah,
look at this! Look at this fight for second. Kernan and damn, that Porsche round the outside of that BMW. Kernan trying to make it work, just trying to get the elbows out right there. Now that BMW's on the straight, unleashing that BMW power on the Porsche and just sneaking his way back ahead. Oh, this is multi-constructor racing at its finest.
He's gonna stay in it though, but he doesn't have anywhere to stick his nose in now. He had a really good opportunity, but couldn't quite get full enough in front of him. If he could have gotten in front of him, might have had a shot to extend it through these S's, but now he's gonna go put that work back in. That was some great racing, though.
It was. I'm sorry to cut you off right there.
No, that was great.
About that. It was a fight for the top podium, so we just had to cover that.
That was great stuff. And
I can certainly tell you, I'm going to be so excited for this series now. Just more multi-constructor racing, the differences in these cars, the different tracks that are going to favor these two cars, and then the drivers are going to outdrive the cars and still outperform them and get all the way to the top as Whitworth goes off the track. Here goes List down low. Violet's dropped into third as they're side by side for the lead in the TCR class. List around the outside of Whitworth. And we got a new leader just barely. Andrew List cuts ahead of Whitworth, and now Andrew List taking the lead of the D2D train in the TCR field.
They've all taken turns because you just said Whitworth was in the lead, because last we had looked, Violet was still in the lead. So they've all had the lead.
Well, hey, when you lead a lap, you do get a little bit of a point. They're all trying to get that bonus point right here. They're going to be side by side for second place as Whitworth is just following List right there. Eric Violet on the outside. Here goes Whitworth now going from the outside. Violet goes back onto the inside as they head into Sunset Bend, all nose to tail with each other. And this is just amazing racing, and honestly, a full-on TCR race with just these guys, I am totally okay with. Might only be 3 with them, but boy, they bring a heck of a lot of fun and a lot of smiles.
Yes, they do. I just love the way these guys. This is great fun for the car, but actually, to me, this shows a lot what the drivers are doing with these cars to be able to race. People who sit and watch these, you don't know how hard it is to race 2/10 off of somebody's bumper, lap after lap, corner after corner. It is the hardest thing to do, even in a car that you know so well, to stay 0.2 of a second on someone's bumper. This is just amazing to watch.
And as we were saying that, Brandon Whitworth drifted that TCR. As we look back at our fight for second place, Mike Dam doing what he can to stay ahead of that Porsche. Kernan is just nipping at his heels right now.
Kernan's trying to stay in the draft, even though he doesn't have the horsepower on the straightaway. If he can just keep a little bit of draft, he can stay with him and then try to use the twisties to close the gap.
Now, what the Porsche has compared to the BMW in terms of setup, I believe you can... I haven't driven the Porsche in a long time, but I believe the wing is adjustable. The BMW is not adjustable. I was driving that out of practice today, and I was trying to see that setting. But from what I know, the Porsche wing is a little bit adjustable, so they have that freedom over there, and the BMW is just set there. The BMW also has kind of a middle traction control. I know the Porsche has like an either on or off switch, and the BMW kind of has on, medium, and off. So at some point it will kick in instead of it always being on.
Yeah, there are a range in the Porsche of traction control settings, and you're right about the wing. You can change the wing a little bit on the Porsche. I'm looking at it right now.
Okay, so you got the Porsche strategy, I got the BMW strategy. Together we'll be a great team. And Jared, we didn't take the start. He one of our GT4 BMW drivers, he unfortunately, family emergency, didn't take the start. He had a pipe burst, and well, real life always takes place, and I actually had a pipe burst at my house a couple days ago, so I know how you feel, man. Hopefully everything gets better.
Only emergencies are never fun.
Yeah, they never are.
Well, we'll try to provide him a little bit of entertainment and some smiles while he's cleaning up his burst pipes. But look, you can see here as Tony Kernan is right back up on the heels. Mike Dam.
Oh, it's his in-laws, okay.
See, it dropped back to almost a second back, but he's right back on the heels there, just 2.5 tenths.
Just getting closer and closer each time through that section, but on that straight is just pulling away from Mike Dam. And Kernan is just like, I'm getting closer and closer. Come on, I got this. And I feel like this is going to be the lap for Kernan. Kernan's got a good run through Sunset Bend. It's a little bit wide for Dam. And here comes Kernan. He's dancing on the bumper. Is that a bump draft I see?
Well,
is he bump drafting him?
This is where we saw the other Porsche so on BMW move. We saw it here.
Yeah, he can sneak his way past turn 1, heading into turn 2. Dam, Kernan, battle for a second. Dam gets a little bit wide, goes across the track to hold off Kernan. Kernan tries to look down the inside, and Dam just dancing on the nose. Dam getting all over to the curves, trying to get as much of an advantage to make that BMW, which is already wide enough, a little bit wider for that nimble Porsche.
He's trying to, and Dam is definitely struggling to keep that car. He's kind of lucky that car is as big as it is, because Kernan just needs to be at the right place, right time. He'll be able to sneak on by him. He's putting so much pressure on Mike Dam right now.
Tony just dancing on the gearbox of that BMW, and this fight is taking a big advantage for Elvis Rankin, as you just see the amount of braking that Kernan is doing. You saw him get a little bit loose in the braking, and that's the advantage of the BMW. More stable in the braking, as our timing tower is going absolutely nuts with the TCR class. Did we just swap leaders again?
Yes. Yeah, I can't keep track. Those three are side by side, 3 wide, all over the place.
Man, it's just a TCR field, so fun, and the GT4 field so competitive. It's the best of both worlds in this series.
Yeah, this is crazy.
And I know that everyone at Extreme Motorsports 99 is so proudful of this series, because it's one of the most popular to watch. And the TCR class, I would really like to see that field get a little bit bolstered up and go on there and apply for that. And hey, I can say it's worth it with these guys. It's so fun to watch them. Randall McGrew sitting in 10th place ahead of David Payton, right behind him, the other DTD car. And this is interesting. David Payton is the other D2D car in GT4, but it's not what his teammate's driving. He's driving the Porsche GT4, and his teammate, Bobby Childs, is driving the BMW GT4.
Currently a few spots ahead of him.
As we see Jeff Jacobs pull into the pit lane.
Bit of an early stop, but we'll see. Now it looks like the pit window could be open as we are on lap 10.
It is open.
This is the section of the track that Kernan really seems to be excelling at, about getting up on the heels of Mike Dam as they come out of the hairpin at 7, makes his way up. As he goes to this 10, 11, 12, 13 section, he's really able to stay up right on there. He just can't seem to be able to stick his nose in anywhere.
Yeah, the pit window closes for these GT4 cars around lap 19. They have a 10-lap window, so 9 to 19 is when we're expecting these GT4 cars to head into the pit lane. And Tony or Mike Dam could use a early pit stop to their advantage. Tony's just being held up on the straights, in these corners by Mike Dam, but he'll be losing his advantage in the draft if he stays out on his own. So
you're right about that. That would be
Dam.
interesting to see if Tony Kernan would think about if the gain in the corner outweighs the losing in the straights with the draft, and it would be worth him possibly pitting early, or Mike Dam pitting early to not have the pressure of Tony Kernan behind him and be able to just drive more relaxed without checking his mirrors.
Yeah, I think Mike Dam pitting early will be the ultimate decider in this, because Tony is going to not have Mike Dam ahead of him, and he's going to have Elvis Rakin closing in, but they are losing time to Elvis right here as Tony's looking down low. I feel like Mike Dam pitting early is going to decide who's going to be winning this little fight for second place. I feel like the Porsche's just slightly outpaced on this track. Tony's a great driver and everything, but it's just in this section. He's being held up by Mike Dam here. But in the straights, you just can't fight with that BMW top speed. And, an undercut might work here for either of these drivers.
I would think so as well. If I'm Tony, I'm seriously thinking about pitting now and trying to. You can see him now. He really wants to put that pressure on.
I feel like he's honestly contemplating on pitting right now, because it looked like he was going for the move. He could have made that move, honestly, as off the exit. Here he goes. Didn't want to make it on corner entry. He'll get him on corner exit. He's going to hold him. Porsche nimbleness. He's going to hold him off to the exit. Early braking for Tony, letting Mike Dam go around the outside. Oh, that is so
just couldn't hold him there long, and I couldn't quite force him.
That mid-engine braking is just a little bit too squirrely to really just send it in there. As we get a good comment from our producer, he just wants a absolute send in by this Porsche. But if you just send a mid-engine car, if you braked hard on a mid-engine car, you've seen the back end just get very loosey-goosey, which is what Elvis was telling me, that the back end, it was just the part of that car that he just didn't like on the brakes, and that's why he preferred that BMW for this season. And it looks like Kernan's got a good run. I think Kernan's
never
backed
good
off.
enough, though.
Kernan might have just backed off right there. I think Kernan showed his hand. He might be going into the pit lane. He's looking down low, but not only to go down low for the overtake. I think he's going down low to go into the pit lanes. They're side by side. Kernan's got a great lawn through Sunset Bend, and he's not going to go into the pit lane. He wants this move right here, but that BMW power is going to go side by side down the straight.
Power.
And there is your direct comparison between these two cars. That BMW was a car behind, now it's a car length ahead. And now that Porsche on turn one, around the outside, trying to ease it around that BMW, just unable to do it. And Mike Dam and Tony Kernan putting on a great fight between constructors right here.
Oh, you just feel for Tony right there. If he could just held that outside line through turn one just a little bit, he would have had that all the way, and he would have been in the right place to brake for turn three. But he just gave up a little bit, giving Mike Dam the inside through one, and gave him the right line for braking into three. And here we go again, back in running order. That was great.
I'm
great
expecting.
driving.
I'm expecting Mike Dan, if we had an onboard mic of him, he might have just screamed power down the straight.
Oh, yeah. Kernan right now is probably screaming something else, but Kernan, I think you're right. I think at this point after that, he really might be thinking it's time to pit early.
Yeah, it's looking impossible to pass Mike Dan with that top speed, and he's got to let the strategy go ahead. But speaking of guys without any strategy and just full-on just absolute craziness, it's our TCR field. List takes the lead, but now here comes Whitworth looking onto the outside of List. They're going to go side by side down the front straight with Violet in third place, and I got to be honest, I love these guys.
There's just a little bit of insanity with this. It's great fun to watch.
Hey, the insanity is always great, and I welcome it. As Liz gets a little bit loose on the braking, Whitworth comes in, and it got so tight once more. And the TCR series kind of known for a little bit of rough around the edges with these guys, and, you know, I'm welcoming it. Now, are we going to see Mike Dam or Kernan pit early? And I would say we'll see the comparison right here. But as we were saying, we're expecting Tony to go first. Neither of them are going to go this time. And if they come in side by side, that's just going to change this entire era. They're just going to be stuck to each other even more.
We keep saying at this point it's not going to happen. They are going to come in side by side because neither one of them is going to end up pitting early. We can just tell now.
A man can dream.
Yeah. But here's the Kevin Ford trying to chase down Chris Thorman. Kevin Ford all the way up right now in fourth spot.
David Payton has fallen way down the field. And was that Payton we saw in the... Yeah, it is Payton. Payton's hit the wall. He's lost a mirror.
Yeah, because he was up there fighting with McGrew. Yeah, it was with McGrew just ahead of Greg Mack.
So earlier on in this lap, something's happened to David Payton. Oh, he's got suspension damage. He's just missing this track and everything, and he's going to be dragging that He's not going to be dragging that thing into the pits. But he's obviously limping around that car. As speaking of not limping around, the TCR field, once again, 1, 2, 3, nose to tail, and...
They're bouncing around as TCRs tend to do. Certainly through Sunset Bend.
Especially through Sebring. You got to respect the bumps here, but these TCR feel... I just imagine an entire squadron of fighter pilots just messing around with each other.
Here's a bit of a replay here of Peyton. Just a little bit too much curve.
Oh.
Yep.
Turn
That's a little bit of that curve there, yep.
Turn 4, that exit curbing is just so dangerous, and it's so many racers in endurance races out right there. That's the second deadliest corner on this track. The most deadly is the last corner coming out onto the back straight, just got out onto the grass and boom into the wall. I would say that corner is more forgiving since it's not just a solid concrete wall. So we go back to our fight for second between Kernan and Mike Dam.
Separated by a couple extra tenths this time by. Dam's got himself just a little bit of breathing room, a whole 9 tenths or 8 tenths of breathing room.
I feel like Kernan needed to get off the gas pedal just a little bit to regain his attack strategy and rethink what he's about to do. And once again, I'm still thinking he's gonna try to undercut Mike Dam, because I feel he has the pace to make this work.
Yeah, he could have. I think if he had done it about 4 laps ago. I think at this point, at this point you're risking. You come in now, Mike Dam's going to come in at the same time, and your thoughts of undercut kind of go away because you're at essentially the halfway point of the race next time by.
Yeah, 5 laps to go in the pit window. Everyone's fuel is ending on lap 19, and I think Tony is gauging his pace versus Mike Dam right now. He started this lap a second behind him. He's currently 3.6 tenths behind him. I'm not sure what I was trying to say right there. behind Dam, and he is closing in. So in that opening sector,
He's faster.
it's advantage Kernan.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely faster, and that's why I'm wondering why he hasn't. But again, everybody has their strategy. Some drivers say, I'm going to pit at the halfway point. Some drivers say, I'm going to pit when I have traffic in front of me. Some say I'm going to pit when I run out of fuel, and everybody has their strategy, and they stick with it. And sometimes, to me, sticking with the strategy you start out with is always the best bet. Anytime you're in the middle of the race, you decide to change your strategy, usually you start second-guessing yourself. When you do that, bad things happen. So I'll leave it up to Tony Kernan to decide what was his strategy at the onset of this race and see where he goes from there. But if he planned on maybe getting in a bad spot and thinking about pitting early, would not be a bad idea now. But the longer he waits, the more opportunity there is for landing at a pit stop at the same time as Mike Dam, which right now would be the worst thing for him. It wouldn't give him any clear track. What he needs is about 3 laps of clear track.
Yeah, he stayed out this time, so he's not going to be getting there. So he's going to be stuck in that perpetual battle with Mike Dam, and Elvis is probably just smiling right now if he's listening to the broadcast. He's got a fight happening behind him for the past laps, and he's pulled out a 3-second gap, and
he's only lost about it was about 1.9 or 1.8 seconds when this battle really started heating up. So honestly, they've only fallen back about a second, which is pretty impressive that they haven't lost more ground. Elvis probably isn't as comfortable as you might think, sitting in at 3 seconds.
This is his home track.
It is, but with the way pit stops go, 3 seconds is very, very close.
Yeah, and there's the option of taking tires.
Yep, there's tires, tire wear, and I don't know how much. I'm sure these guys have done full race test sessions. They know how much their tire is going to go, but they have the decision now: do they take tires? Do they not? And that changes your pit amount of time. But it also, if you don't, how do these tires fall off? And what you're looking at here, specifically between Mike Dam and Tony Kernan, is 2 different chassis. They will behave differently on 60-minute tires, depending on if they choose to take them or not. So that may be also playing into Tony Kernan is thinking if he already knows if he's going to take tires. He might know that he's going to have a shorter pit stop.
The GT4s, though, they're known on not taking tires. I don't believe, like, some races they did take tires, some races they didn't, but it's not a 2-tire changes, as that upsets the balance of these cars, especially in the Porsche. And a full-on tire change takes 28 seconds with these cars. Yeah. That's time that they do not have.
And maybe that's what Kernan's strategy here is. Stay out, pressure Mike Dam, knowing his car may be a little bit easier on tires at the end of the race.
This is true. That could be a good strategy because the Porsche a lot better in the corners. He's not abusing these curves at all. And, you know, this might come down to a tire wear war, but Sebring isn't as abrasive as a track as, and isn't as tire wear heavy as a track as, I've got to say, Barcelona is. As Liss makes a mistake, he goes wide. Whitworth goes down low with Violet right behind him as Andrew Liss is, he's
there he is.
popping in and out. They're like he's on the radar right now, but they're going to go side by side for second place, and Violet and Whitworth retake their positions, and Whitworth takes the lead of the TCR class as Liss is trying to, get himself back into the listing books of connections.
You know, with these three, it's like you're playing a game of Pac-Man. This is Inky, Blinky, and Clyde. I'll let you figure out which one's Blinky. But because they are just like in a line following each other. But it's amazing. Almost 34 minutes in, and these guys are still just 0.6 apart.
And we just got a radio transmission from Kernan and Mike Dam. Something might have happened right there, and I can quote you when this came out of Kernan's mouth. I puckered on that one a little bit, so obviously something scary just happened between these two. And you know when something scary happens on track, you kind of just lose your momentum and you feel like maybe now's not the best time. We still got half of a race to go. Maybe I need to back off a little bit. Maybe I should get out of this fight and go in for an earlier pit stop, which is what we were saying this entire time to do for either of these drivers, because I'd say whoever pits first will have the advantage on this race. Mike Dam will have the advantage of not having a Porsche at his heels, and Kernan would have the advantage of not being held up by a BMW in the corners.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on this battle, and also when everyone decides to come in for their pit stop in the next couple of minutes. It's got to be happening shortly. We know that Jeff Jacobs already did his pit stop, as I believe Steve Daniel also did his, as well as Russ Ruddick and Bobby Childs.
They continue on. Yeah, our first person who went into the pit stop was Jeff Jacobs, but the farthest person up who went into the pits already is Steve Daniels. And he's in 9th place right now.
Just a couple seconds ahead of Jeff out there right now.
As we're looking at the SKKJ driver, Steve Daniel, and that I really love brown cars, and that is a nicely painted brown car. And just look at that accent. As here's a replay between Kernan and Mike Dam. Dam went a little bit wide, got into the gravel at turn 1. Here goes Kernan down low and almost getting into each other.
I'd say that's pucker worthy.
Oh yeah, that's definitely pucker worthy. As oh my TCRs. Well, the TCR class has a BMW right behind. That is the stealth black BMW of is that Raymond Bader?
I believe it is.
Well, if that's rated, if that's Bader, they've actually overtaken him legitimately.
Could be. And being lapped in there, of course, was the other of the TCR cars.
Oh, Bader just went into the pit stop. Bader. So
Bader's done his pits, but Chris Abo was also in that shot, so he actually had all of the TCR cars in that same shot.
Yeah, Chris Abo. They're doing whatever it takes to win. So
just wonder if they're going to have separation anxiety and not all being together. I don't know what they're going to do.
You know, some teams work as a family. Some of them work like a very dysfunctional family. Some of them pit in together. Some of them try to stay as far away and take the win for each other. We see that with, well, in real life in Formula One, Mercedes teams, whenever there's a safety car, they try to go in together and double stack. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Bahrain and especially in Bahrain.
You had to go there.
I had to. I'm still salty about that. And then you have teams that will just favor one driver over another. Ferrari. I could go all day with this.
No, you can't.
And then you have some teams where pit stops just don't work. Haas. That one still hurts.
Haas has lots of issues. Anyway.
Oh, yeah.
As we are getting close to we're lap 18, getting close to the end of the pit window, as we've still got another 5 or 6 of the GT4 drivers that have not pit. Most notably, our top 5, Elvis Rankin, Mike Dam, Tony Kernan, Chris Thorman, and Kevin Ford have not pit. Randall McGrew is currently in the pits, as you can see there based on our timing tower. So I would expect a lot of these other guys will be coming in this lap or the next.
I'm looking at the lap times right now. Tony Kernan's the fastest GT4 car on the grid.
Yep.
Now, he doesn't have the fastest lap, but last lap, he was the fastest GT4 car on the grid. He has the draft advantage of the BMW in front of him, and he has the corner speed, so that might be helping him just a little bit. And Tony Kernan, driver for Kernan Motorsports, is definitely looking like a threat. And now we're going to see if who goes into the pits this time by, or is it going to be a pit stop battle between the BMW crew of Orion Race Team or the Porsche crew of Kernan Motorsports to decide this race?
If he can come out in front of Mike Dam by somehow undercut him by 1 second, that might be all he needs. If he comes out side by side, he's going to have the disadvantage. He's going to have a problem because the straightaway speed is going to be an issue.
Yeah, that's straightaway speed. And Tony Kernan is going into the pit lane. Just came onto the radio letting him know that he's going into the pit lane. So Kernan going first into the pits. As Tony is going into the pit lane, it's going to be a race of outlaps here for the Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. We'll come back when they resume fight on the next lap. Stay here. We'll be right back. Welcome back live to the Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. Kernan has finished his pit stop as we have the side-by-side battling dots. Right now, Kernan sitting in 5th place. Mike Dam. Now, you might notice his relative has dropped down to Elvis Rankin. Getting the hotel hairpin, he went a little bit wide. And when he finishes his pit stop, we're going to see whose car had the most pace on the outlap and the in-lap right now. But I say with that, as both the Orion team's BMWs go into the pit stop, I feel like Kernan has a little bit of an advantage right now as we see him getting onto that back straight, which is that BMW's strength.
That was not the best defense lap or end lap there for Mike Dam. As you mentioned there at the hairpin, he really struggled, kind of went a little bit deep, a couple of the spots, a little bit of a bobble. This outlap for Tony Kernan is going to be crucial for him as he's already making his way around the Sunset Bend.
Kernan's
really
in-lap was 2 seconds faster than Mike Dam. He did a 2:17 on his in-lap as he comes across the line, and Tony Kernan is going to be side-by-side of Elvis Rankin, and he's going to take the lead of the race.
Wow.
So not only was he 3 seconds back on Elvis Rankin, he took the lead of the race with a pit stop undercut. Tony Kernan is leading this race now.
That's unbelievable. His pit times were short. Everything was shorter. That's just, and now we know he's got pace.
We were only expecting him to make up 1 spot, not 2, and not the race lead.
I mean, he made up about 5.5 seconds on Mike Dam, but he also made about 3.5 to 4 seconds there on Elvis Rankin. So Elvis probably didn't expect that either. But like as I said, even Elvis, like I was saying before, Elvis had about 3 seconds in his mirror. Probably wasn't super comfortable, thinking, I don't know what could happen with pit stops, but I don't think he expected this.
Elvis Rankin's in-lap was a 2:18 compared to Tony Kernan's in-lap, which was a 2:17. Kernan nailed that in-lap and did everything perfectly, and I think he just caught Elvis by surprise. Right there, Elvis knew that he had a big gap, but I don't think he was expecting there. And now Elvis is getting onto the power, and now we're going to see what happens when a BMW is stuck behind a Porsche. This race is just getting interesting with less than 20 minutes to go here at Sebring.
It definitely did. So Kernan now isn't the chaser. So now he's got to be thinking he's out in front. He's got to hit his marks without having to follow somebody. And sometimes it's a little bit harder. You know, when you're chasing someone, it's really easy to follow them. When you get into that rhythm of, I'll brake when he brakes, I'll just follow him, I'll just stay in this draft and do his thing. Now you're out by yourself, and now you start looking at that relative screen. When you've got, you know, little king there behind you, you start thinking about that. And every time that relative drops down to 0.8 in the straightaways because the BMW power, you're thinking, oh my gosh, he's catching me. You got to think, no, that's just the BMW power, and I got to keep my head down and go. So right now, Tony Kernan's got to really just be thinking, turn mirrors down. Favorite phrase. I love that. Turn the mirrors down, put your head down, hit your marks, just go, and do those high 210s, low 211s right now, which is what he needs to be doing.
Power versus agility here on display. And I gotta say, this is the track to have it on. Best of both worlds here at this track. Very good at power, very good at agility. 2/10 down when they entered this section. Kernan lost to Elvis Rankin. And Elvis, he's no slouch. He can definitely outperform any car he sees. And he's still getting it on as he's unleashing the power as they head into Hotel Hairpin. Wow. Kernan getting a little bit looser. 7/10 now.
Wow. Yeah, Elvis Rankin just nailed that whole section, turns 3, 4, 5 right there to close that gap. Just completely nailed it. And not to say that Kernan didn't, but I think what Elvis just did was he knew he had to hit those marks to get right up on the heels, ready for another straightaway, and unleash some BMW power. Really, that puts the pressure on Kernan to now hit his marks.
Yeah, and Kernan and Rankin, this is going to be a fight in the gray zone now with these cars. Ellis has the power, but the maneuverability of that Porsche is going to annoy Ellis just a little bit to make him a little bit more aggressive in these corners. We see him just overextend that corner and kick up some dust, as now it's bumper to bumper. Small Porsche versus giant Beamer. I know it's just a GT4 car, but dang, the meme is still alive with them.
This lap from Elvis, this is going to be a qualifying lap for him. If you look at the gap that he's closed down, remember this was about 9.5 tenths, almost a full second when they entered the Ullman Straight the last time through, and he's now about to make a pass to go to Sunset Bend a lap later. And I haven't seen anything significant from Kernod that says that it's a mistake. This is just Elvis doing everything.
Elvis had to look down low, but that Porsche is just so good right there. And you get to see the tires just screaming on the asphalt, leaving behind a little bit of tire wear right there as Elvis Rankin is using that BMW power, and they're defending on the opposite side now as here goes Elvis. He's looking down low, side by side for the lead here at Sebring. That Porsche trying to hold it around the outside. Elvis trying to manage that big BMW down low. That Porsche's going to have the exit right there, and they're going to go side by side heading into turn 2 once more here at Sebring. That big BMW is still on the inside. Now the Porsche has the inside. That switchback right there, they're still side by side, keeping each other fairly room with each other, and it's still going to be side by side out the exit. This is amazing.
Oh, here comes the power, though. Oh, it's so close, but no touch. So close, but here comes the power.
No touchy-feely. Rankin has the speed on the straight. Kernod has the speed in the brakes. Side by side, they enter. Kernod has the position off the entry, but look at the power off the exit. Elvis is almost pushing Rankin right there.
You look at Kernod, though, trying to position the car, and he probably could have stayed there a little bit longer. Didn't quite, though. He's got to hold his position here. He didn't do it against... Yeah, he didn't hold his position against Mike Dam a couple laps ago, but he's trying to hold his position this time against Elvis. He's doing a better job here. Look at this. Beautiful stuff.
You can see the back end of both these cars getting onto the power. They both get onto the brakes equally right here, going through this long right-hander. Elvis has the exit speed right here because the outside line's much faster, and Elvis Rankin takes back the lead. Quote, "That was fun" on the radio.
Oh, that was amazing. Now, what that also did was that just gave Mike Dam a huge advantage to close up. Remember, he was about almost 6 seconds behind Tony Kernod a lap and a half ago. He's cut that in half. So we might have a 3-dog fight on our hands if any of this battling continues. But wow, what a beautiful, almost a complete lap of side-by-side. Great racing, no contacts, no off tracks, no cutting off, no blocking, just beautiful racing.
Close racing is always awesome. And speaking of close racing, we have not forgotten about our TCR class with the DTD guys 1 and 2 nose to tail right now, and they don't have to worry about different constructor strengths or not. It's all driver to driver in this race, and I believe that's what D2D stands for. Actually, I don't think it is. I've been corrected on the name every time I've attempted it, and I just kept with D2D, but driver to driver, driven to drive, driven to drive, Bobby, Child Insane, and, you know, with their always nose to tail of each other, they pretty much always have that one going for them.
Well, whatever it is, they race great, and it's always exciting to watch them. Because, again, it looks like Andrew Liss is having a bit of a blinky issue tonight.
Yeah, Whitworth is actually falling away from them, and there's only 3 of them in this fight for the lead. We have Sabo right there, the 4th car. There were 6 that started this race, but well, registered for this race, but you know, some people just something happens, and with today having another significant sports event happening, you know, some people sign up for the race and some people don't go for this race. As Andrew Liss looks down the inside of Violet and Liz going side by side, and this is so hard. It's like trying to play peekaboo with a stealth bomber right now.
It's gotta be tough for Violet. No, you're like 1 minute he's there, 1 minute he's gone. You know, I don't know what it looks like from his screen, but you can see it here on our broadcast screen. It looks the same thing here for mine. That yeah, for Andrew Liss just continue to disappear on you. That's got to be a bit unnerving. And when he pops back in, you're like, oh, wait, there he is. I better make sure I don't completely land in my lap the next time he reappears. But it seems every corner he's going to continue to stick his nose in there. But again, as these guys do this, all this does is allow Whitworth, who's by himself, to get closer and closer. Lap and a half is going to be a 3-way battle again.
Yeah, Violet looking down the inside to defend from Liss. Liss is looking around to the outside. Side by side they go over the bumps and through the woods. Andrew Liss has the power around the outside. Violet has the speed on the inside. 9 minutes to go.
getting reports that the pit stop exchange may have been a bit of an advantage there for Tony Kernan, who did not take tires, but it looks as though
Oh yeah,
Mike
the pit
Dam
time.
and
4 seconds difference.
Elvis Rankin and Mike Dam may have taken tires. Tony Kernan did not. May have helped him quite a bit in that that leap that he did there within the pit stop time. So yeah, a big change there. Helped him out by not taking tires.
And speaking of Tony Kernan and Elvis Rankin, right behind this battle, they are sneaking up on the TCR field. So not only are we having a fight for the lead in the TCRs, the fight for the lead in the GT4s are going to go through these cars right here. And all three of the TCRs are right next to each other. They're side by side ahead of each other. And this is like trying to navigate the Millennium Falcon through the blockade runner. And I'm making more Star Wars reference.
And Elvis Rankin right now is on the radio, sort of playing director at this point, because he knows he's the lead of the faster group coming up on the slower group. But there's leaders in both of these classes of the 3x3s that are happening. So you don't want to break up races, but nobody wants to lose their position either. So
this is Tony Kernan right here. As let's ride on board with Elvis Rankin. He's trying to make his way through this TCRs. Use that BMW power, that GT4 power, all on that left side. That apex is being closed in, though. He's going to just get a little bit loose right here. And here they go once more, hard onto the brakes. And this is a lot slower than Elvis Rankin is used to. Tony Kernan's dancing on his gearbox right now, as there is still no tail of each other. And this is great racing, a chaotic racing. If you're Elvis Rankin, goes a little bit wide. They're diving all the way over to the pit line. They're giving away that position up there and let the GT4s continue their fight. And look who's right behind him. That's Mike Dam on Tony Kernan.
Oh, the save actually helped Elvis Rankin quite a bit. He may have been able to sneak through there a little bit quicker than Tony Kernan did.
Oh yeah, Kernan did not have the advantage of the BMW power to get past the TCRs, and now Kernan's still behind the two TCRs, and that BMW power is on the outside of Tony Kernan right now. Mike Dam, side by side, sneaks his way down low. Mike Dam back into second place.
It puts Kernan right back where he was in Mike Dam's rearview mirror.
The tire strategy for the Orion team is certainly paying off right now. That new grip and just that traffic advantage of that BMW power to get ahead. There's a mistake by Violet, getting a little bit loose, forcing Kernan to get a little bit offline as he still can't get past that TCR.
They're just quick enough. They're not that slow.
And I remember when the TCRs and the GT4s first came out, it was just the Porsche versus the TCR. There were moments when where the TCR was actually faster than the Porsches in a straight line.
Yeah.
And that just shows the difference in power between Porsche and the BMW and the TCR.
A little Turbo 4 spool up, they can pull pretty strong, and you can see it there as they came off of turn 1. They kind of make a little snake down towards turn 3. And then they got out of 3. We're kind of going through a little stretch to get them on to the big bend there. You could actually see the Audis kind of squirt through there pretty quick, a little quicker than even the Porsche did. So yeah, they've got moments where they've got a lot of power, and that was scary there a little bit. But for Kernan, unfortunately, kind of came out the worst for all that as he went into all this right on the heels of Rankin. Now he comes out, he's 2.5 seconds behind him. He's got some work to do if he wants to have a chance here in the next couple of minutes to get that second position back and get around Dam. But having not taken tires now, this is really where it's going to hurt him. His strategy was probably to stay in front, not to work from behind, having old tires to try and get around somebody who's A, got more power, and B, got younger tires.
The strategy last year was not taking tires, and everybody running the Porsche, they usually don't take tires. But now that half the field is on BMW, they've experimented with taking tires, and now I feel like this has switched the meta kind of in this series, that taking tires is going to be the way to go now, as with 5 minutes to go here in Sebring for the Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. The newer tires just have that pace coming out of the pit lane, and that is the risk is totally there and totally fair, but the speed that they're gaining off of this is just so much that tires, I think, are the way to go now.
They might be, but I think in this instance, I think Tony just kind of got caught in a bad spot. I think his strategy was going to work at least to keep him around Mike Dam I'm not sure any strategy would have worked, because Elvis Rankin, even on old tires, might have been able to catch him. I'm not sure. That's, Elvis is that kind of a driver, but he might have been able to still stay ahead of a Mike Dam. But because of this traffic thing, just kind of worked against him. He just kind of got stuck, put Mike Dam right on his heels in the worst possible place, leading on to the Ullman Straight, which was a drag race to one end. They get to the other end, suddenly they're slow in the corner again. One more drag straightaway. Mike Dam's now a second in front of him. That's really what really worked against him in this case.
Hindsight is 2020, but in a race, it's 2020 times 10, because there are so many things that can go wrong, and you can pinpoint where your race went wrong. I didn't go into the pits early. I didn't take tires. That TCR field was as wide as a beehive, and I had all the honey.
Right. But, when we get to our next track at Barber, things could be a little bit different. As you mentioned, that might be a track where the Porsches might have an advantage. And that track might be a place where they may not need to take tires again, and they might have the advantage overall on pace. It'll be really, really interesting to see. It's a very, very different track than what we have here with this very flat, Sebring, compared to what Barber is. Barber is not flat.
Yeah, Barber is a lot of up and down, and I've raced there, and it is so fun to race there. It's a very good track to race on. It's a very wide track, same width throughout the entire way. I would usually say about 3 rows wide. The thing is, Barber's a very hard track to pass on. Mm-hmm. So if you saw Kernan struggling with Mike Dam trying to get around him in the corner, imagine a Porsche who is thriving in that track trying to get around a BMW.
Yep.
There's not a lot of straights there.
Based on when our leaders cross the stripe, I believe white flag will be next time by.
Yeah, we got 2 minutes 30 left on the clock right now, and they're currently in Hotel Hairpin. So yeah, white flag will be out next time by, unless some absolute catastrophe happens during this lap.
Means if Kernan's got anything left in his tires and anything left in his tank, he's going to have to pull that out now. Try and get around Mike Dam. And Elvis at this point can probably just hit his marks. Mike Dam, I don't know that he's going to have anything. The real battle is these guys.
Mike Dam is closing in on Elvis Rankin. He just put in a 2:11.25. That's 0.5 faster than Elvis Rankin just did. So Mike Dam is technically the fastest GT4 on the grid right now as we take a look at our 3 leading TCRs, all nose to tail with each other, like usual.
Yeah, these 3, piece of paper does not fit between with the way these guys are running right now. And, take your pick. It is Eric Violet leading this threesome with this lap and a half to go. Whether they end this way or completely invert the threesome, I couldn't tell you, but I'm sure all 3 of them for the last, 8 to 10 laps have been deciding where's the strategy, where to make the last pass. It's probably going to come in the last corner, knowing how these TCRs have gone. Plenty of passes have been in the Sunset Bend so far tonight. I suspect we'll see 1 or 2 more here on the next lap and a half.
Well, 8 seconds remain, 4, 5, white flag in the air with 3 seconds to go.
All right, so again, if there's anything left, like you say, again, Mike Dam took a couple other tenths or so out of Elvis Rankin's lead. I don't know if it's going to quite be enough, but he is definitely pulling away just a little bit from Kernan. So none of these drivers are able to do much. The real battle seems to be behind them.
Dam is putting everything on the line. He wants to go challenge his teammate right here to take the first win of the season, and so is Turley Kernan. All these guys already have a podium, but to take that first bragging right of the season, to say, I beat a BMW, I beat a Porsche, I beat Elvis Rankin, defending champion, is just a massive, ego boost and a good momentum start to your season. And then you got the TCRs right now, so they're going 2 wide, almost 3 wide heading into the Hotel Hairpin. We're side by side.
Yeah, this threesome, like I said, as they cross the stripe for this lap.
There's List. List had a mistake. List is down to 3rd. Whitworth in 2nd place.
Yeah, this is just going to come right down to the end. I think when they cross the stripe for this lap, I think Violet was in the lead of these three.
Daniels is around. Daniels is stuck. Daniels has crashed his car on the last lap. Steve Daniel, the Porsche driver of the number 6, unfortunately, is stopped sideways across the track.
Oh,
no! Comes into line with Jordy Fike. This is a BMW of Jordy Fike right there. As here are our leaders going down the long back straight. It's just a little bit too much for Mike Dam to get up to Elvis Rankin, but he has closed that gap up right now. I feel like Mike Dam is going for that fastest lap of the race, as something has happened right behind him. I believe there was more contact right there with somebody else with a wall, but it's Elvis Rankin taking the first win of the season here at Sebring, with Mike Dam right behind Kernan in third. And on to our TCR fight as they're going spewing 3 wide right now as they head across the line to Sunset Bend. Who's got the lead? It's going to be Violet in the lead. Whitworth in second place, List in third place. It's nose to tail right now, and it's going to be Violet flashing the lights and taking the first win for the TCR class.
Unbelievable. An hour of racing and 3 cars finishing 37 thousandths apart. Or 37 hundredths apart, 4/10 of a second between 3 drivers. That's pretty tight racing there in the TCR group. But the front, another win for the young man, Elvis Rankin, and had to come from behind to do it after the pit stop exchange. He calculation was right to go ahead and take the tires, was able to use those and get around a very agile tonight Tony Kernan, who decided to try without the tires and got caught in some traffic there and fell back to 3rd spot, but ends up on the podium with Mike Dam there. A solid run there for a 2nd spot. So Rankin, Dam, and Kernan, your podium. And those guys very deserving tonight. The 3 of them just really putting on a heck of a show. Great drive.
Speaking of a show, Violet's drifting.
Little e-brake slides.
Yeah, and I gotta say, for the first time ever in the Ricmotech Sports Car Series, a BMW has finally won in all the series. This is the first time BMW's won here.
Well, it was definitely bound to happen, and it definitely won't be the last win from what we saw tonight. They're here to stay, at least for this season. Very strong, very competitive. I wouldn't say it's a dominant car, because as Tony Kernan showed, that Porsche's got some pace, and take another track where perhaps doesn't have quite as many straightaways. We've got ourselves a constructors fight on our hands.
We certainly do, and I believe the Porsches, they dominated the midfield. 3rd, 4th, 6th, and 7th are all Porsches with Kevin Ford in that BMW. I can't wait for the rest of this season. You're here watching the Ricmotech Sports Car Series presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. We'll be right back for podium interviews and race results after this. Welcome back to the Ricmotech Sports Car Series. It's the end of the race here, and here is our race results for the GT4 class. Elvis Rankin takes the win, first of the season at first for Porsche, followed by Mike Dam and Tony Kernan right behind in third place. They're followed by Chris Thorman, Kevin Ford, Jeff Jacobs, Randall McGrew, Bobby Childs, Russ Ruddick, Raymond Bader, Greg Mack, Steve Daniel, Jordy Fike, David Payton, and Robert Hartley at the end of this 15-car starting grid. And over to Larry with our TCR results.
Yeah, taking the win there, and talk about a close race. Eric Violet just eking out the victory over Brandon Whitworth and Andrew List. Chris Zabo in fourth. John Allen, Jason Ashton actually did not take the green flag tonight, but it's a great win there for Eric Violet in the TCR.
This race had everything. The TCR is always providing an amazing show. And then the GT4 is a little bit separated at the start of the race, but that fight at the lead just was a slow building fight that came to a slow boil, and then that boil just exploded, and we were just left with, I need to stop making food references. I just felt my mind going there. That was a great fight for the lead of both races, and that midfield presence is just absolutely nutty. And I'm looking at our constructors for the GT4s. The Porsches dominated from third to seventh. They did have that incident with Steve Daniel. There might be a post-race penalty being advised for a rejoin, but we are not sure. But we are joined by our TCR winner, Eric Violet. Eric, how was that race, and congrats on the win?
Well, it was fun with the group had. Unfortunately, it was a really small field, so it looks like we're going to be going to some open races and get some recruiting going because we need a bigger field.
Yeah, it was a lot shorter than what we're used to. 6 cars, not the biggest field, and then 4 cars on track actively. But with the amount of drivers that you had right now, it was certainly a lot of excitement right here. Nose to tail for straight up 28 laps between you, Whitworth, and Andrew List. What was how was racing in that giant pack as always?
Well, we were not taking it easy. You know, it's kind of like I think the season finale where we drop of the green, it was on, and you know, Brandon's knows how to save his tires. I thought I'd be able to get a little bit short on fuel and get out in front of them a little bit, which I did. But Brandon had 4.5 back, and he caught us up. Andrew and I were mixing it up a little bit there, and it brought Brandon right back in the mix. So, and then I think they tangled a little bit right behind me. And but if our show was any good, that's great. Hopefully, we did not mess up the GT4. They caught us, I think, at a really bad spot. I think they were running 1, 2, 3, and I was hoping that they'd be able to get us on the straight, and all 3 of them would just go by, but it didn't look like it worked out that way. So it's unfortunate if we messed up their race, especially for a small field. I mean, if we had like 19 guys like we did last season, you know, they're going to be running in TCRs all the time. But I think they just had Chris earlier, and then us there at the end. So apologize to those guys.
It certainly just happens. It matters of circumstances. They were going to catch you regardless, but with you guys, as it has been for all of last season, always nose to tail. I can't recall a single TCR race between you 3 where you weren't nose to tail with each other, fighting for the lead, or giving Bobby a heart attack as the DTD fashion.
No, Bobby got his heart attack. His pit limiter didn't work tonight, so I think he went into pit road like 100 miles an hour or something. I don't know.
I mean, Bobby can't catch a break.
No, I don't know what happened. His controls got messed up tonight.
Well, Eric, everything worked out the best for you. Before we let you go, anyone you want to thank?
Of course, you guys, Ricmotech, Pro Forma Elite Texas Graphics, D2D, Chris Thorman, great guy, sponsoring us every time. Got Nick's Dog Treats out there, and I guess we'll see you next time. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Eric. We'll see you next week. As let's bring it over to Larry, who's standing by with our overall winner of Elvis Rankin.
The might have Elvis. There he is. Hey, Elvis Rankin, our overall winner for tonight, driving in a BMW now here in this season. Elvis, congratulations on the win. I got to ask you about the pit stop exchange. Were you a little surprised to find, looking up the ranking order there and seeing a Porsche in front of you?
No, absolutely not. We had our game plan. We kind of knew what he was thinking we were going to do, and we elected to take the tires and maybe lose a little bit of time. Obviously, when I tried to get around him, to do my best to maybe stall a little bit and just help Mike out. And, we had a fun battling, going side by side for like 13 or something corners, so it was fun. I did indeed enjoy it.
Yeah, that looked amazing. You guys, that was some of the cleanest racing I've ever seen. Every single corner side by side, not a single contact, not a single off track. Just great, respectful side by side racing. And interesting that it was a little bit strategic too to kind of help the teammate get back in. Seemed to work. And then as we just got done talking to Eric Violette, you guys caught the TCRs then and kind of made things difficult for you guys to kind of get through them. Walk me a little bit through it, trying to pick your way through that lap traffic.
Well, obviously, try not to ruin my own race. But I also was concerned about their race as well. I know those guys put on a good show, and that's half the race right there. I know they only got 4 TCRs tonight, but they're still a pretty fierce class, I guess you could say. And I was just trying to pick my way through them nice and carefully, but also not lose too much time to Kernan and Mike. So it's just a strategy game overall.
And I got to ask you, with the BMW now, how different is this, and do you feel that there's going to be a bit of a power shift as we go between track to track between the Porsche and the BMW?
I don't know. Obviously, if the BMW gets out front, it is impossible to get around for the Porsche, because I even think if you make a mistake, the BMW still just has that drive, and it can still outdrive the Porsche. Whereas with the Porsche, it's a little faster. In my opinion, I think it's a little quicker. It's a lot more unstable, though, from what we ran and what tests we did throughout the off-season. And going off last year's experience, a lot of our guys was, I guess you could say, frustrated with the Porsche because it was just so unstable. And, we elected to go with the BMW. I don't think it was a bad decision at all, because I think qualifying is going to be key for us, for sure. Qualifying is going to be key.
Okay. Well, yeah, we're looking forward to it. I think our next round is going to be up at Robert Motorsports Park, so it'll be interesting. A very, very different track for you guys. So good luck up there, but great way to start the season, getting the win here tonight in the BMW. Anybody you'd like to thank?
Yeah, for sure. Want to thank Orion Race Team for putting the trust in me, picking me up, and thank you for picking up our teammates and our whole team for just doing amazing tonight. Job on the setup and on the off-season testing. I can't thank enough. I want to thank our team manager, Frosty St. Clair, and our team sponsors, JRT, Joel Real Timing, Joel, and HPP, Mark. Some of the best products that we have ever used, and so thankful for them to be our sponsors. And without those guys, we wouldn't be running up front. Want to thank my mom, my dad, grandpa for just supporting me with racing and everything. Want to thank Extreme 99, Ricmotech for putting this whole deal on. The admins, Kevin, Jeff, Ryan. Thank you to those guys. Without them, the league wouldn't even be a thing, to be honest. It's incredible that we got in 18 or 19 seasons now in the Classic Sprint Series, and 3 years, I believe, and it's amazing just to see how this league has came along, and I'm happy to be a part of it. And last but not least, I want to thank you guys in the booth, Austin and Larry, and for Apex Racing TV for broadcasting the race tonight.
Thank you very much, Elvis, and congratulations again, and looking forward to seeing you in the next race.
Yep.
All right, Austin, I think that brings the wraps on another great Ricmotech Series race night.
It certainly has. And another Ricmotech Series season start in the books now, as we have another season start right up next week as the Classic Sprint Series. Amazing race all the way to the end. Sports Car Series, amazing race all the way to the end. And that just leaves one more series to go. And I think this is the one that everyone, including me and you, have been looking forward to, and the admins of the series, and that is the Ricmotech World Challenge next week at Daytona Speedway, the 2021 season opener. We got GT3s, we got GTEs, and we got LMP2s. And that is going to be a 75-minute absolute banger of a race on January 18th. Same time, same place here at Apex Racing TV. Next round of the Sports Car Series will be at Watkins Glen, but after the World's Challenge, it's going to be the Classic Sprint Series, also at Watkins Glen, so it's going to be a 2-for-2. But oh my goodness, I'm just so excited for Daytona. Larry, how are you feeling about these upcoming races and the upcoming tracks?
Oh, I'm psyched. I think the Ricmotech series is some of the best racing on the entire platform. I think what we bring you here on Apex Racing TV is great to watch, and I think every Monday night, if you're not tuned in here, then you need to be. I think this is going to be a lot of excitement. I think the World Challenge race next week at Daytona is going to be a great place to really kick off what's going to be some exciting multi-class racing. So be here or be square.
Yeah, you certainly do not want to be B square, as it is definitely going to be a absolute wild race. Thank you all for joining us here on Apex Racing TV for the Ricmotech Sports Cars series here at Sebring, presented by Proforma Elite Texas Graphics. I've been joined by Larry McLeod with Dennis Brantz and Alex Simpson in the production booth. I'm Austin Knight, and I hope y'all have a great night.